Okay, Danny, how concerning is this loss for Philadelphia?
Pretty concerning. Like it's not panic time yet, obviously. They're 4-1 and they're the champs. But this is just objectively weird. And I remember last year when Nick Sirianni was catching heat, a lot of us were asking, like, what exactly do you do here? It feels like he has to call Kevin Patullo, the new offensive coordinator, into his office and maybe exert a little bit more control over his offense. Because I watched every snap of that game, and I know Denver's defense is excellent, but I don't understand why they are so bad offensively. If they've got a top 5 line and a top 2 running back and a top 2 wide receiver duo, and Eagles fans will tell you a top 5 quarterback, and they're all relatively healthy, why are they this inconsistent? And that just add it to the pile of weird Eagles games and specifically offensive performances. Like, we can just show you 5 games. It's not hard to remember because they're the champs. 3 points in the second half against Dallas. Dallas, bottom 3 defense in the NFL. 5 pass attempts in the second half against Kansas City. Where did it go? 1 negative net passing yard in the first half of that Rams game when you thought there was a typo on the scoreboard. Then they get outgained by 278 yards in the second half against Tampa. And then they're winning by 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter against Denver, and they run the ball 2 times. Like, I don't understand any of it.
Yeah, so
like, I don't get any of it.
I think your point about, because we talk about a lot of teams that are injured, about what's happened to them because they're injured.
Yeah.
We don't, and this is not us, it's just sports media in general, we don't very often be like, hey, one reason to be concerned, this team has been exceptionally healthy, and they don't look, totally right. Your point that Philly, I understand Landon Dickerson's been dealing with stuff, and Lane Johnson, right, but that's not an injury. He left the team, and Lane Johnson left the game but came back. But their stars, for the most part, have been there the whole time, and they just don't have an offensive identity. I have no idea what the Eagles are going to look like, and they are, and this Barnwell pointed this out, he's right, it's, adjust for inflation, I suppose. They're the most expensive offense in the history of the NFL. They are widely regarded, as Danny put out, top 5 at basically every spot, with the question being quarterback, is he top 8 instead of top 5, but whatever. And they can't have a normal game. And so I find the fact that they went from why can't you pass to pretending they don't have Saquon Barkley, that type of correction, oddly more concerning than the loss. I don't really care that they're 4-1 versus 5-0. The only reason I think the loss is noteworthy is it allows us more fairly, if you will, to focus on the fact that this team has only looked right offensively for a couple quarters at a time this year, and then they've looked like the second half in the comeback against the Rams, the first half against Tampa, and the first half of the season are the only times where it's felt like, oh, that's Philly's offense humming. And so I don't get it. I feel badly just being like, it's the lowest paid guys on the involved fault, the offensive coordinator. It's not the head coach, not the quarterback, not the stars, but he is what's different. Everyone else has been there, and we don't think those players all got markedly worse, unless the argument is the offense last year was elevated massively by Saquon's historic season, and now that Saquon's having a down year, everything's falling apart with it. But that undermines Jalen Hurts as to that brings into question how good is Jalen Hurts if that's the case.
Yeah, I'm not concerned. And I agree with a lot of what you said. They don't have an identity, clearly. I do have issues with the offensive coordinator. I think he's been darn near terrible this year. And yet they're still 4-1. I mean, that schedule's been brutal. 5 really strong teams. And because Saquon is so good, because their 2 receivers are so good, and Jalen has done it long enough, even though he gets questioned, the dude is really good. I mean, and he shows it too, even some of the throws he made yesterday, like the long one to Devontae Smith and stuff. So they do have to work out the balance between the run and the pass. But as far as thinking they won't be a contender, a top tier contender in the NFC, I see nothing to feel that way at all.
I think it's the opposite. I think it's why they're so scary. Like I was reading our buddy Zach Berman, who does great reporting for them for The Athletic out of Philadelphia, and it's like they got to get the play in a little bit quicker. They got to be more detail-oriented. The penalties hurt them in that game. There was a very questionable late hit. Like they're talking about that game like it was just the margins and little execution, fine-tune the details, and they'd be 5-0. Like that's actually why I think the Eagles are so scary.
So
I still think it's all in there for them.
So I would agree with that entirely. And I said last week that I thought they could take a page out of the Chiefs from a couple years ago playbook, which is if you are having trouble passing the ball, have a game where you work on passing. I didn't think to the extent of having a 2-touchdown lead in the second half and stop running Saquon.
That was weird.
But here's the reason that I can't fully be on board with this. It also feels a lot like how the team felt 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Where the record was great, where they had played a tough schedule, and yet every week it was another, what? Huh? What was it?
But a lot.
What's going on?
Oh, hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's hey? Yeah.
It almost was more shocking than, hey, what's going on? It almost deserves the rare, what exactly is happening now?
Yeah. Oh, is that a spinoff?
Yeah.
It's a spinoff?
Yeah.
That one
like
doesn't roll
Frasier
off
and
the
Cheers.
tongue
But
as well.
exactly.
What exactly is happening now? I don't know. But regardless, like,
But
hold on, what?
a lot of
That's what it
that's
is.
the media, though.
But the
That's
media's not going
them
away
as much.
Except
like
for the
I
fact-
think they should not buy into that.
Well, but AJ is going to be like voice his displeasure if it's there, and like that's the other thing we haven't talked about here. AJ, after asking for the ball those times, listen, I don't know that he quit on that route. I don't know if it was overthrown. Like people I respect are in both camps of that, but that doesn't help. Like it's a lot. It's very angsty for a 4-1 defending Super Bowl champion. That's all I'm saying.
Saquon down from 125 yards to 53 yards a game. They've got the Giants on Thursday night, so it's not a ton of time to game plan.
I think it's good
Actually,
that they
might
get
be
a game
interesting.
Thursday.
Because
think
they
that-
can't do.
You know,
No,
what's
I just
even-
think it's because this game.
Or bounce back.
Yeah, you just
You
have
know
a
what's
quick.
even better? It's the Giants.
That'll help.
Meanwhile, we'll
pick
head out
me
to see what the Chargers are up to. Justin Herbert's MVP case may have
Yikes.
peaked too early. Chargers lose again, while Herbert and a banged-up offense only put up 10 points, 166 yards, while getting sacked 4 times. Earlier in the show, we saw Brew take out a cardboard box and put all of his Raven stuff in it and basically give up on the Baltimore Ravens. Are you going to
that
follow?
was a
I
sad
did
moment.
not. I did not.
It was a sad moment. You
Life
kinda did.
support.
You kinda-
Stuff's on life
You
support. It's
cannot
still my
give.
pick.
Well, go ahead. I don't even know what the question is.
I just made it up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, I think I pray at the altar of logic and reason, but there's
wow.
Here we
only
go.
there's only one logical conclusion to come to, and that is that Justin Herbert is cursed.
Okay,
This is
this is unbelievable.
It is the only thing
we've gone
that
to
makes
the metaphysical
It is the
for the
only
excuses.
logical explanation for. I mean, I thought he was cursed when I watched the game with you yesterday, and since then, Omarion Hampton is out for 4 weeks.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's another injury to pile on top of this. But listen, anybody could show you Quentin Johnston dropping the ball. Anyone could show you a deflected interception or a touchdown being taken off the board for running into the punter, flipping the game. It would have been 17-7, then it ends up 10-10 at half. That's rudimentary 101, 201 level analysis.
Sure.
I'm going to take you guys inside a little play I like to call 2nd and 19. It's not an advantageous down. They get sacked on 1st down. Brings up 2nd and 19. Let's roll the tape. 2nd and 19, tough spot. Here's Justin Herbert hanging in the pocket, pressure. He converts it. What a great play. That's a Peyton Manning 2.0 play. Unbelievable conversion. Only problem is the backup right tackle commits a hold, so they got to wipe out 2nd and 19. All right, we're not going to panic though, Brew, because it's 2nd and 28. Justin Herbert, he's got him right where he wants him. 2nd and 28 inside the 10, hangs in the pocket. A beautiful throw over the defender to Keenan Allen on time for a conversion. The only problem is that was taken off the board by a 5-yard penalty. There was no play in the playbook for 2nd and 33. That was the problem.
No,
so he converts
that's
2nd and
not the
19,
problem.
he converts 2nd and 28.
He's the only player in the league, too,
10
that
penalties.
has injuries and
Buckle up.
penalties.
Look at all of
Brew
this
is
stuff.
not.
Where is Justin Herbert on that list of Chargers miscues? The guy is a victim of everyone around him.
The bottom one is where he is when they had a chance to be
Thank
right
you,
back
man.
in the game, and he throws an interception in the end zone.
The ball was tipped
yeah, that
right
happens.
to another guy.
Yeah.
That is bad luck.
Okay.
Objectively
That
bad
doesn't
luck.
happen to any other quarterback.
I'm not saying
Again,
that.
if
I'm not
the
saying
ball,
that.
if the ball gets, if by tipped it is off your own receiver's hands.
Like what happened in the playoff game to Justin Herbert twice? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sure. That you can call that bad luck. I don't know that the defender getting his hand up. That's a great defensive play. But here's the problem: is you all in the Herbert cabal. And again, I'm going to take a page out of Brew's book.
Oh.
I like Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
I think he's obviously a good player.
He's a great player.
But the
great
folks, we have no evidence of that.
Other
None.
than eyes. Other than eyes.
Again, we have had to listen to folks say, I swear to you he's a great player.
He is.
And again, I think he's a good player.
He's a great player.
We had folks say this was going to be the year. He proved it all. And you said that knowing Slater was out. So they've had one substantial injury prior to yesterday. Joe Alt, it's a big injury. Guys get hurt. But you knew Slater was out.
I did.
Going into it, and you were fine with it.
Yeah.
It shouldn't all hinge on one tackle, whether or not he's going to become Peyton Manning 2.0, which luckily we can update the graphic.
I don't know.
Let's see how Peyton Manning, Manning through year 6, they were 5-0, 32 points a game, 11 touchdowns, a 103 rating, and he won league MVP. I don't think Justin Herbert's getting there.
I didn't sanction this draft.
I know, Danny, you're tongue-in-cheek. Justin Herbert is cursed. The problem is that's kind of like the smart football opinion. No, the guy's just obvious. Obviously, he is 90% as talented as Allen or Mahomes. He's just the unluckiest guy in football, and I just think it's bananas. We are still in a spot where the Chargers can score 10 points in a game against a defense no one thinks is great, and the smart opinion is the quarterback played awesome. Actually, if you watch the film,
we watched it together.
Yeah,
he was good.
Okay, then what is great? Then I guess great would have been 14 points.
That would have been amazing. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that at some point you are who you are, and Herbert's a nice player. That's who he is. He's a nice player.
Look, I agree with you, Danny, on the eye test. Like, he throws a mean ball. I mean, he looks great. He looks the part, and he is very good. Like Nick said, we agree with that. But he doesn't look like he's going to be Peyton Manning 2.0.
No, he sure doesn't.
And if he is, now is the time you step up and carry your team. You know, and last year they took the ball out of his hands. He only had 3 interceptions. This year, they put the ball back in his hands, and he's got 4 interceptions in his last 3 games.
And
so
you begged them to do it.
To
you
me.
were mad at them last year for running the ball too much. That was why they didn't achieve higher. They didn't give him the ball enough. Now, their rookie running back's out a month, and it's like, oh, what can the guy do? He's not going to have a running back.
Well, we got to get to stock up, stock down.
Okay.
It's time now to act like Brew in the commercial break and check the stock market. This time it's football storylines. Yeah. Danny, whose stock is up?
That's amazing. Portfolio strong to quite strong. Bruce, congratulations on all your success. Drake Maye stock, your guy.
Wonderful.
Doorstep of destiny. That is his 4th quarter passer rating over the course of the 5 weeks of the season. He was basically perfect in the entire second half yesterday. I think the only quibble I would have with Nick and Brew over how this show started today, you guys were both I'm so happy for Wilds. I'm so happy for you. Leader of the show, handsome, charming. I'm not happy for you.
Why?
Okay, it's been 4 years since Tom Brady? you had to go through Cam Newton and Mac Jones, and now you've got a guy who's clearly awesome. And if I was going to buy stock in a quarterback, he would be one of the 8 most valuable stocks in the entire league.
17 years.
You're the kid at the Patriots parade. And it's like, oh my God, we've had it so hard in Boston.
That's a good
That's
point.
you. I don't feel bad. Talk to me when you're a Jets fan, a Browns fan, or a Bears fan.
That is a fair take, but it does feel like, as we walk through the doorstep of destiny, that we actually just belong on the top of the AFC East. It's just like things get back to how they.
Well, so I don't.
Smug
So
title.
listen,
I can't stand
I
that.
think that you guys, there's a big step between where you are now and being the top of the AFC East.
Sure, I just want to be out of this. I want to be out of the wilderness.
Right, and
You're
that-
there for 4 years.
And this is, and Brew, I think you'll agree with me here. I know Danny does. This is why, particularly in the AFC, you have to swing on traitsy quarterbacks. You can't, in my opinion, it's why I will never like the Bo Nix pick. We'll see how it works out. I didn't like the Mac Jones pick. You need to have a guy who can be toe-to-toe in a game against Josh Allen and for the night be like, I'm going to do all this Josh Allen stuff as well as Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Because you're going to run into Patrick or Lamar or Josh or Joe, who's not the traitsy guy, but just so accurate, and you know what I mean?
Herbert.
So, right, well, that's the bet on Herbert, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, the bet on Herbert is his talent is high enough. Like, I think Maye's talent is high enough, but I just think you guys probably have that last step's the biggest one.
Fair. All right, stock down.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I got you. Stock down. Common sense. It happened again. Amari DiMarcado. What are you doing? You had 8 carries on the season before this. This is the longest run of your career by far. It happened it's just week to week to week. Common sense. No one had dropped the ball. We got through 3 weeks in the NFL. Then in week 4, A.D. Mitchell on the Colts did it. And you know, you guys talked to Coach Mangini. We all do. Every team in the league put that Adonai Mitchell play up and said, hey, if you're going to score a touchdown, be sure before you celebrate, you cross the goal line. And then DiMarcado did it again. It's an epidemic. Deshaun Jackson, Leon Lett, it happens in college football. It happened to Malachi Corley on the Jets last year. What's going on?
I don't get it.
What's going on?
I was talking with Greg earlier, and he said it even on the show. I said, I think it's showboating. He said it's not showboating. It's you get in the end zone and you feel like you're done. And I'm like, well, wait. You can't wait 2 more yards to drop the ball or whatever. Look, I don't necessarily want this to happen. If I was the head coach, I might cut him.
Well, Jonathan Gannon didn't cut him, but it did appear he punched him.
What did he do? He did it with like a. Was it this?
very
Again,
angry on the
I
sideline.
don't. Maybe what I said there, maybe I shouldn't have said that on TV. The video that we have seen from the sideline, it looks to me like he smacked him in the chest. I don't know what again.
might have hit.
We don't have a reverse angle of it. But
doesn't-
Gannon was incensed, understandably. Now they had plenty of chances after that. Also, I agree with you, Danny, that it was ridiculous what he did. I also am shocked they overturned that. I thought he scored.
That one seemed
all the other ones have been obvious. The guy
This one
is
was-
setting the
was
ball
close,
down,
yeah.
and they have the very clear shot. A.D. Mitchell, you can see it fumbling out of his hands. It to me looks like he actually, when he is moving it forward to flip it, it crosses, and we know the goal line. It's like a
just
force
cross the
field.
goal
It
line,
just
right.
pass it and the play's over. So I was stunned they overturned.
The thing is that could cost
tens of thousands of
Jonathan
dollars in
Gannon
Survivor?
his
Yeah.
job.
Oh yeah.
Ultimately. I mean, they're not gonna do it. You know what I mean? Because they've got 2 games they've given away
Correct.
this year.
Yeah, they easily
Just
could
silly
miss the
stuff.
playoffs on that loss.
Yes.
Of course.
And that's where that.
And Nick, I'm with you. I thought there was an argument that should not have been overturned, but he's slowing down. And I have
Right.
like, in
Why are you even slowing down?
Right, like in baseball, like tie goes to the runner, like in Little League, whatever. I have no problem with tie goes to reward the defense. That's such a boneheaded play.
I just hope guys stop doing this because it doesn't.
It's embarrassing.
It doesn't make any sense.
Stock up. The final stock up in the stock market.
The Bake Show. His MVP stock is way up. I wish I had a Baker Mayfield MVP ticket from before the year because you could have Baker Mayfield at 27-1 right now, which is where his odds began before the season. And then as he has gone on with each and every fourth quarter comeback, all of their wins on the last
I
minute
think
of
12 to
regulation.
1 is still good value.
That's what I was going to ask. You can get him right now 12-1, 15-1. You know I love line shopping.
Yeah.
Feels to me like they've got a path to the 1 seed. Dak is probably the favorite to lead the league in passing, but Baker's a top 3 option there. Baker Mayfield MVP. It's really live.
Yeah,
right
I mean,
now.
it feels like Lamar's out of it.
So, Allen, Mahomes, and Herbert are the only guys in front of him.
Herbert's in front of him.
I don't know how Herbert is.
That's-
still
I can't wait to see Bruce ballot.
I understand why Josh is where he is, and Patrick, it basically is just a bet that Patrick's going to hit a hot streak. And like Mahomes' MVP odds have a floor, essentially. No matter
Correct.
how he's playing, the market's afraid of putting him at 20-1, and then he hits a hot streak. But I think because of when we showed you guys their schedule earlier, that and one of the reasons I picked them to go to the Super Bowl was because I thought they had a great path to the 1 seed. That right-hand column, Baker could, over the final 6 weeks of the year, have 20 touchdowns and 1 pick, and the team go 5. Like, the only game that wouldn't be a shocking loss is home against Atlanta, an Atlanta team they already beat on the road. So I agree with you, Danny. I think he legitimately could win MVP.
What a story that
which Brew would. That's what I was going to say. Would make his football story from walk-on to Heisman to number 1 pick to cut
Bouncing
from
around,
bouncing
every
around.
level
One of the
question.
most unique NFL stories ever.
Yeah.
So in terms of panic for the Ravens, this is a weird spot because I think we all know they're better than their record if they're healthy, but they're not healthy. And so as I see it, the only argument you can make that it's not time to panic for the Ravens is schedule-based. Because it's not about their play. It's not about what they've actually put up. We can show you the schedule because it's not ridiculous to say they lose to the Rams and they're a 7.5-point underdog in that game and they go to 1-5. And then when are you picking them to have their next loss? But that's playing that schedule game is the only argument to make that the Ravens are going to be okay. You panicking, Willie?
Listen, as a former Steeler, I spent most of my pro career despising the Baltimore Ravens. Wasn't nothing to do with it, can't stand them. Yesterday, I'm going to be honest, I was a little sad because with that disdain, there's a little love and appreciation.
Respect.
In the Baltimore DNA, there's bully ball, right? We couldn't find that. That didn't exist, right? And so now we watch the Houston Texans, who came into Baltimore, and I thought it was going to be a scrap match, but I expected Baltimore just have the better roster to come out on top. They hit the mute button on Derrick Henry. Mark Andrews only had 2 catches for 22 yards. You couldn't find Isaiah Likely. Rashad Bateman couldn't get open. The offensive line continues to struggle. Defensively, they stink, period. So I'm looking at this team right now, and I'm saying to myself, who are you? Like, where's the edge? You know what I mean? Like, I understand, we can give them the out injuries, right? But this is a team where we talked about in the start of the season, they already had a place at the table, right? It was Buffalo, Baltimore, okay, Chargers, Chiefs, right? But Baltimore was always in the conversation. When you have that as much respect and you garner that much attention, even with your B game, your C game, you win games like that. They got punched in the mouth and didn't respond. So for me, it's not about the schedule. It's not about the injuries. I don't recognize who the Baltimore Ravens are. Like, and that's what's heartbreaking. I'm like, I may hate Miami, but I still love you because you make me better. They're not even like, the AFC North is weaker because they weak. You get what I'm saying? Like, as a group.
Look, I'm with you, Willie. I didn't like the way that they lost. I'm not panicking because you have a 2-time MVP still on your roster and he's not available right now. And if that were not the case, yes, I would be panicking. But the problem that I see with the Baltimore Ravens is a lot revolving around what you said. But this team, with players in and out of the lineup, you still feel like the personnel, the construct of who we are still a competitive outfit.
Mm-hmm. 7 starters out with injury.
And that just it doesn't matter.
Yes, go.
But it still shows up on tape. Some form of who we are should show up, and that's what Willie's talking about, and it's not showing up. And if this were the Chiefs, if this were the Niners, which we saw up against the Rams, it's supplemented by coaching. Kyle Shanahan, Robert Saleh, that defense, getting the other guys to elevate their game by putting them in position. John Harbaugh isn't doing that right now. When I listen to him, I heard the same thing after the Chiefs loss.
Facts.
Like I'm hearing the same things.
Yeah,
like we gotta figure out who we are.
Well, you're listening to a coach that's out of answers, and you watch yesterday's tape. I didn't realize so much was revolved or leaned on number 8. Right, he's the Jesus in cleats. You don't have Jesus and Cleats right now, but you still have Derrick Henry, you still have Mark Andrews, you still have Bateman, you still have all these things that could work for you, and all those things got muted. That's coaching too. That's what Greg's talking about right now.
Well, I'll just say this, for whatever faith you put in the odds makers, the favorites to win the AFC North right now are the 1-4 Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
So they still think they're going to be hosting a playoff game.
I mean, you got to look who's in front of them. The Bengals and the Steelers.
But that's the argument to not hit the panic button. Lamar will come back, and there are not good teams in front of them. That is the entirety of the argument. So obviously they're more known for their offense than their defense, but if their defense is going to get takeaways like that, they are the most complete team in the NFL. And when I hear people talk about the Lions, there still is this like 90s tinge to it, like that they're just like this sorry franchise or something. Like they have been dominant.
Who feels like that? I don't feel like that.
I just feel like in the commentary, and maybe I'm projecting, but they win 15 games last year, but they lose in the divisional round to Washington.
Okay.
They get blown out by Green Bay in the opener. Like if you just look at their body of work since day one of the 2023 season when they walked into Arrowhead and upset the Chiefs, these are the things they are the best at. Winning, blowing your opponent out, scoring, yards, touchdowns through the air, touchdowns on the ground, and because they boat race so many teams, you stop running on them, and no one has run for fewer yards against than the Detroit Lions. Like, yeah, Greg, they are the most complete team in the NFL.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer. Like the eye test just tells you that they're the most complete team. And what Dan Campbell was alluding to is a team that is challenging one another, that is competing with one another. And once you start competing with the guys that you're lining up against of who's not going, I'm not going to get a pressure today. I'm not going to allow a pressure today, or I'm going to get the first interception, or I'm going to get after quarterback before you get after. Like, great things happen. I'm talking great things happen. And this is a team that's not worried about their opponent. They're concerned about one another. And am I going to outperform my teammate? Am I going to be able to sit in that film room and be like, I got you on this one? Like when you talk about Sonic and Knuckles, obviously Montgomery and Gibbs, like you make a play, I'm about to make a play too. I got to get me one. That's what you want to have. That's when teams have fun having the type of success that they're having. And when you do that on both sides of the ball, I mean, it's going to be hard to beat this team if they keep this up.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're all alluding to the same thing. The reason why Dan Campbell's so confident and can stick his chest out because he knows his brand of football can travel. It's hard to win in the NFL, especially on the road. You know that, Greg. And from a defensive line standpoint, they play with an organized chaos. There is a level of discipline in which they play and stay in their rush lanes. They're going to slant. They're going to twist, TE, ETs. Sometimes they're going to walk that Sam linebacker down on the line. Slant the line. They do so many things with their front four that they're not a heavy blitz team because that four can eat. On top of that, when you talk about Aiden Hutchinson, he's the lead dog. You know what I mean? A guy coming off his ACL, his motor you thought would take a tilt. No way, you turn on tape, he's still humming. So when you have those bell cows and you have that level of violence and you play with that level of chaos, as a coach, you say, press play, let us go. You know what I mean? That's where he's at. I don't have to worry about the nuances or the intangibles. I press play. Let the tapes, let my guys go eat.
They were so injured on defense last year. I've said it last year, I'll say it again. We were robbed of an Eagles-Lions NFC championship game.
I agree with you on that.
Those were the two best teams in the NFC last year, and I root for the Lions like as just a fan of football, right? As a Bears guy, they're a rival, whatever. But just like you were talking about earlier, you respect the Ravens.
Yeah.
I respect what the Lions have built. I want to see them healthy in January because they're a great team.
It goes to your point, they got to finish.
They got to finish, of
We're
course.
all believers, but you got to finish.
Got to finish.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.